Hello, my name is Barry and welcome to Barry's Kitchen. Today we're going to go ahead and do Quiche Lorraine. This is an easy and simple recipe and has lots of variations that you can introduce to make it so that it's not the same dish each and every time that you have it. Now, as everyone knows, Quiche Lorraine comes from Germany. It actually originated in Germany, where they started out making this with a pastry crust, with eggs, with cream custard, and some smoked bacon. And it was only afterwards, a little bit down the road, that they introduced cheese into the mix. Today we're going to go ahead and do the modern version of that recipe. We're going to use a 9-inch deep dish pie crust. We're going to use 1/3 cup of onions. We're going to use 1 cup of, and the recipes vary on this. You can use whipping cream, you can use half and half. Whatever you have around is probably just as good. We're going to use 2 cups of Swiss cheese. And I've varied that a little bit because I've used about 1.25 cups of Swiss cheese. Then I put in about 3/4 cup of pepper jack cheese to add a little bit of kick to it. About 6 eggs. We're going to obviously have some bacon in there. We're going to have about 6 to 8 slices of bacon, depending on how much you really love bacon. And a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. And if you want to add a little bit more kick to it, you can go ahead and add a little bit of red pepper to the mix as well. A minute to talk about the pie crust. My mom will absolutely kill me when I tell her that I went ahead and made Quiche Lorraine with a store-bought pie crust. I've never gotten the hang of making those darn things, so what I'm going to do is just take one of the regular pie crusts that come out of these bags. They sell them 2 to a bag, so I'm going to go ahead and make 2 Quiche Lorraines. And the downside on this is, you know, the metal wrapping on it. So what I'm going to do to take that away from the equation is I'm going to take one of my regular pie dishes and put the crust in there. And now when you're taking the pie crust out of the aluminum tins and putting it in here, you got to be a little bit careful so it doesn't break up. So if we've got the pie crust already made, there's a separate segment on how to make a pie crust. I'm going to have to get my mother down here to teach me how to do that one. Then it's a simple matter of putting everything together. I'm going to take my soft ingredients first. So I'm going to take my cup of, and I have half and half that I'm using here. I am going to take my 6 eggs and put them in. One at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are medium eggs you can buy at the store. Some people use a little less eggs, like 6 eggs. Some people use, or 4 eggs. Some people use 6 eggs. I'm going to take my whisk, and I'm going to whisk it all up together. Break up those yolks, get those whites a little bit separated, get them into the mix. Once I've done that, you can see it's got a little bit of a foam to it, a little bit of milky to it, if you can see right here. And it looks all mixed in. Now the next ingredients, and this is really the base. So when we go and vary this recipe, from here on out, you're on your own. Anything that can go in an omelet, you can go ahead and use in a Lorraine, not a Quiche Lorraine, but in a quiche. All right. So for instance, if you want to put in ham, you can go ahead and cut up ham and put it in there. If you want to take mushrooms, you can go ahead and cut up some mushrooms and put them in here. If you want to take spinach, you can take and cut up some spinach and throw it in here as well. So there are lots of different variations on the recipe that you can do. We're going to go ahead and use the first one to just do the regular Quiche Lorraine. So I've got my 2 cups of cheese, grated. Pop that in here. Loosen it up a bit. I have my bacon, which I cooked yesterday, and the rest of the bacon I put in a Ziploc bag. So all I have to do now is just crumble it up and put it in here. And once I have that done, now it's just a matter of putting in a little salt and pepper. And I'm not going to put any of the red cayenne pepper in here, red pepper in here, because I put in some when I put in the pepper jack cheese. So now I'm going to take and just mix this all together so that I've got the cheese and the eggs and the half and half and the bacon all in there. Last, I'm going to put in my onions. 1/3 of a cup. If you love onions, go ahead and use a little bit more. If you don't like onions, use a little bit less. And you can see it's a nice little bit, not stiff, but it certainly is a little bit of firm mixture here. And we take that and pour it gently into our pie crust. And we're going to take and put this in the oven. Now, for those of you who have done pies in the past, you know that the pie crust, the outer edge of the pie crust, sometimes gets a little bit dark and burned. So what I've done is I went out and bought, actually I got these as a Christmas present from a number of years ago, and all these are just a little aluminum pieces that I can set around the crust of my pie so that the outer edge of this does not get burned in the cooking process. And I'll take this off about 10-15 minutes before it finishes cooking. You're going to put your oven about 375, 350, 375, recipes vary, 35, about 30 to 35 minutes. Put it in the oven. When it comes back out, you're going to let it rest for about 15 minutes, cut it up, it's going to be oh so good. Alright, my oven's ready. I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven. I'm going to prepare another one pretty quickly. When I come back, I'll show you what it looks like in the finished state. We're back, and as you can see, I've got two quiches here. One, the regular quiche Lorraine. The other one, I put in the ingredients that we talked about, mushrooms and some spinach and some ham. And as you can see, that looks pretty darn good. Whoops, don't want it to fall out of the pan yet. It hasn't completely cooled. And then we've got the traditional quiche Lorraine. And as you can see, I used the store-bought crust. Don't let my mother know. And went ahead and cooked it with the little shield around the edge, and the edge doesn't look burned. You can also do these quiches without the crust. So if you take and you just put Pam in the pie plate and then put the ingredients in without the crust, that's a nice low-carb way for you to be able to do it. You don't have to use the store-bought crusts and as part of the process. So as long as my mom never figures out that we're using store-bought crust, I won't tell them. You don't have to tell them. How does my mother ever find me? Hello? Yes, Mom. No. I was going to use the regular crust. It was Kathy's fault. She made me do it. Always blame the youngest sister. This is going to take a while. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the quiches, and I'll see you next time on Barry's Kitchen. Listen, Mom, if I learned how to be able to make this crust right, then I'd be able to do it properly.